validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, and welcome to This and That and everything in between, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Today is a very nifty day on a Thursday. I got to tell you guys, if you want to like and subscribe, make sure you do so. I appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. And if you guys want to get onto the show, you can click that link in the comment section. Approve the mic, approve the camera. And once you do so, it'll put you into my green mail. I see in the green room. I'll be able to bring you onto the show in real time. You'll be able to speak to me in real time, and we'll be able to have us a good conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about the authentic relationships that last in 2025. We're going to be talking about ways to build a relationship that lasts, which is kind of hard to do with the modern 2024 dating society, but we're going to try to make that shit happen. So remember, we are live 7 days a week. We are going to be here 10 Central, 11 Eastern, about 7 Pacific. We are not going to change our timeline when we have daylight savings time. For those countries that are watching us that do not do daylight savings time, we're not going to be changing our time for daylight savings time. So there will be a time shift, and we will not be shifting with it. In addition to that, special shout out to Romania, Brazil, and trying to remember all the rest of the countries. We have Russia. 20% of our podcast is from Russia. I really appreciate you guys, Vietnam and the Philippines. So I really appreciate you guys for showing us love on the podcast. But let's go ahead and try to tap dance our way into tonight's topic. Join me as I take you guys on this nifty challenge of building an authentic relationship that actually stands the test of time. And I'm going to tell you something. The difference between a relationship for a season, which is a jump off, it's a hookup, it's that person that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy when it's cold outside. But that same person getting your damn nerves before summertime. I'm just going to tell you something. We're trying to find that person that's going to still be there long after time stop. Really, that's the person that you're looking for. You're looking for the one that's going to be there. I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, smart fella, got a record label. I'm gonna bring him onto the podcast one day. And fact is, I was telling him, I was like, look, bro, like, you think about all the many times that you've socialized with individuals, female or otherwise, and think about how many times that you invested in them, and then think about how many times they invested in you. Now, you know how many times that you say, hey, man, I'm going to spend some money on this person to make them feel important. But you know how many times that you spent money on yourself to say, hey, come and make me feel important. And I told him, like, bro, if you're in a situation where you're paying for your own satisfaction, you're wasting your efforts on the people around you. So today we're going to be talking about ways to build our success. Now, it's going to be a short-lived topic, but I can tell you what, we're gonna grind through this, because building an authentic relationship is the key to unlocking personal and professional success. And in today's world, it's the foundation upon which we build trust, achieve our goals, and find a sense of belonging and fulfillment. Without the people that we love and trust and respect, we're left feeling isolated, unfulfilled, and stagnant. So we all know that building genuine connections with others can be tough, especially in today's digital age. Social media has made it easier than ever to connect with others, but it also created a culture of superficial interactions and shallow relationships. We're more connected than ever, yet we're also more isolated than ever. We're flooded with notifications, likes, and comments, but we're lacking in real, meaningful interactions that bring us joy and fulfillment. We've become so accustomed to curating a perfect online image that we've forgotten how to be our authentic selves in front of others. We're afraid to show our true selves, to be vulnerable, to take risks, and to put ourselves out there. And as a result, we're left with a sense of disconnection and loneliness. And even when we're surrounded by people, we still are in a situation where we feel absolutely alone. I'm going to tell you something, guys. We've also become the masters of comparing our lives to others. If you think that everyone else is living their best life while we're stuck in mediocrity, you'll be able to build a mentality of self-loathing and self-misery. But the truth is, everyone is struggling. Everyone is fighting their own battles. And everyone is trying to figure things out. I'm going to be real with you. I just spent 4 or 5 hours, because it's 10 o'clock Central Time. I've been having my phone call started at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I spent 6 hours having a conversation about all the many things that go wrong in life that shouldn't go wrong in life, but we allow these things to go wrong in life because we do not pay attention to what matters. So we're all in this together. but we've forgotten how to present, how to listen, and how to connect with one another on a deeper level. So, giving your undivided attention to another during a conversation, this means putting away distractions like phones and actively listening, focusing on understanding rather than just responding. Because a lot of times, a lot of people listen to what somebody else has to say, they wait for their turn to speak. So they don't really hear you. They're just listening to the fact that you're talking. And when you take a break from talking, they will jump in and they will start talking and they'll try to relate to what you're saying sometimes. But they didn't hear shit you said and could care less about what you were talking about. If you focus on understanding what someone else is trying to tell you, rather than just waiting for your turn to talk, you will establish a better connection. You will facilitate a more intrinsic connection with that individual, which, by the way, will put you in a position where you would be more likely to be successful with establishing and maintaining a positive relationship with that person. Maintaining eye contact and asking open-ended questions is one of the other ways that you can show the other person that you're paying attention to what they got going on. But asking random bullshit ass questions is not going to help you. You have to really be interested in what they're talking about to the magnitude that you want to know what it is that they desire, what you can do to benefit them, and in return, what can they do to benefit you? Because just like I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, I was telling him, think about this. I was talking on this show a while back, about 2 months ago, about how Michelle Obama had benefited Obama's campaign. Michelle Obama was working in social justice. Barack Obama was working to be president. Michelle Obama's ability to make Barack Obama president gave Michelle Obama the ability to make massive changes in her social injustice platform because she was the first lady when she was able to do what needed to be done. Now, when we had this discussion, I had a gentleman that came up here and he wasn't even talking about social injustice. He was talking about traffic stops. And I entertained the conversation, but the fact is that her agenda to have a top-down control over her career in social justice required her to make her husband the president. More often than not, in a lot of relationships, individuals are so selfish that they put their own wants, needs, and desires before the wants, needs, and desires of someone else, for the expectation that if I get what I want first, then I might decide to give you what you want after the fact. And it's not even a guarantee. The fact is, you have to have the mentality that you will make the other person's more successful first, under the expectation that their success will make you successful later. You got to make your later greater. I had a homeboy tell me that a long time ago. You got to make your later greater. Your now is struggling, but in order for you to make your later greater, what you have to do is you have to build for tomorrow, today. So dedicate specific times for face-to-face interactions without technology distractions. Empathy. Empathy is a very crucial dynamic for building trust and emotional intimacy. The fact is that if you cannot relate, even if you can't relate, if you cannot understand by putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, what they are going through, it is not likely that you will be capable of negotiating a fair deal. You will not be likely to manifest a reasonable trade off. You have to find a way to negotiate a situation where the resolution will benefit you as well as benefit them. So you have to acknowledge others' emotions, even if you don't fully agree with them. Simply information can strengthen their bonds. So opening up your own experiences and challenges to foster a safe space for honest communication can be a huge dynamic shift. You've got to realize that it's not always about being tough. I know that guys grow up in situations where men ain't supposed to cry. We're in a situation where fellas, we're not supposed to talk about what we don't like and how we feel mistreated in most situations. But the truth is that if we don't put ourselves in a position where we're standing on our non-negotiable expectation for behavior, I can tell you that we're going to be set up for a downfall because we will prioritize the wants, needs, and desires of other people, but we will not prioritize our own needs. We will ignore our own desires and we will ignore our own wants. And I'm going to be honest with you, no matter how much you are flexible to somebody who is using you, you will never be in a position where your sacrifice will be warranted, will be respected, will be appreciated. So I got to tell you guys, if you're in a situation where you're making all the sacrifices, but the people around you are not reciprocating, non-negotiable expectations behavior requires you to say, hey, I am not going to get put up with that. You guys are going to show me the same respect that I show you, or I got to remove you guys from my life. And I'm going to be serious. We have situations plenty of times where we are dealing with family, we're dealing with friends, we're dealing with, romantic partners. And we try our best to say, hey, I got loyalty to this person. And our loyalty dictates that we allow ourselves to be mistreated in ways that we shouldn't be mistreated because we feel like loyalty should overrule the unacceptable behavior. And I'm going to tell you, that's not going to work. That is not what this is about. If we're in a position where we are making ourselves successful, if we're in a position where we are caring about our own wants and needs and desires, and we are in a position where we are showing ourselves the type of respect that we believe that we deserve, we need to be able to, special shout out to those of you that are watching us from Twitch real quick. I just want to make sure that you guys know that I see you guys jumping in. Liberty Twitcher, Red Void, I'm the 81. Again, we're talking about the fact that if you put yourself in a position where you are not being respected and appreciated and valued, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to be miserable because your goal is to make them feel good. But the result is not that you are happy about it. So what we're looking at these days, especially here in 2024, we have a hard way to go. And it's hard for us to open up about the experiences and challenges that we foster in order for us to build that safe space. But the relationship itself will thrive in an environment where individuals feel safe to express their true selves. So being able to talk about who you are, being able to express your true self, that is where you are going to be the best you that you can be. So in today's show, we're talking about the authentic relationship. And I was talking about this for 6 hours today. The authentic relationship is not that relationship where, she's hot. I could see myself sleeping with her. That's not an authentic relationship. That's lust. An authentic relationship is when you can describe 10, 20, 30, 50 things that makes this woman amazing. And sex is not one of them. It's about finding 10, 20, 50 things about that man that makes that man amazing, where his financial status and the resources that you get from him is not one of them. So when relationships thrive in environments where individuals feel safe and express their true selves, you find that respect will be a whole lot more different. The viewpoints and the ability to refrain from negative criticism will occur in those environments. So you have to let others know that they can share their thoughts without fear of rejection. So those women that want relationships where their boyfriends and their husbands are fully transparent expectations comes with a series of hurdles. The very first thing that happens with full transparency is no judgment. So they can do something extremely stupid. You can't get mad. You can't criticize them. You can't belittle them. You can't talk down to them. You can't make them regret that they told you about it. Because otherwise, by doing so, you will close the door of 100% honesty. Still to this day, there are men right now, if they're doing something that they know for a fact that they should not be doing, they are regretting the fact that they have not left that situation because they know that they're in a relationship where they tell their wife everything. But the situation they're in right now, they know they can't tell their wife because she will get pissed off. First person accountability. If you are in a relationship where your word is bond and you end up in a situationship where you may have to break that bond, the guilt behind breaking that bond more often than not will stop you from doing something that would jeopardize your relationship. But those of you that have no moral compass, I'm going to be honest with you. You guys are going to get out there and make it do what it do. Whether or not you regret it or not is irrelevant, and whether or not she stays with you or not is circumstantial. But the fact is, those men that get the girl and want to keep the girl is not going to do things that he knows will make that girl mad. To the magnitude that she'll leave, of course, because she'll get mad because you're playing the Xbox. So we're not really talking about that. We're talking about like, oh, I'm packing my bags and I'm moving out kind of stuff. You don't want to get to that point. But you got to remember, a simple thank you can make others feel valued. So the acknowledged birthday, anniversary, and achievements to show that you care. Recognizing the fact that they did something that they were struggling with trying to achieve. That's a big plus. Congratulating them on their success. That's a big up. But expressing gratitude That will strengthen bonds and foster a positive atmosphere. So you have to acknowledge individuals. And I was talking about this earlier. I was talking about this earlier today. When you're acknowledging a birthday, an anniversary, the achievements to show that you care, this is how individuals will know, realize, and understand that you care about who they are. But here's the thing, though, and I talked to one of my homeboys earlier today, and I told him, I said, look, if you think about it, how many times have you paid for your own celebration? How many times have you paid for your own birthday? And then how many times did you pay for the birthday for the same people who came to the birthday that you paid for yourself? If you can think about 5, 10, 20 people who came to the birthday party that you paid for, and if any of those people that you paid to throw them a birthday party, bro, you got a network that does not value you as much as you value that network. So, how do you build a meaningful trust in a world that's designed to keep us apart? How do you foster connection that is genuine, that is real, and that brings you joy and fulfillment? The answer lies in being intentional, in being present, in being willing to take risks and being vulnerable. It means letting go of our needs for perfection and embracing our imperfections. It means being willing to listen, to learn, and grow with others. Because one of the most effective strategies for building a meaningful relationship is active listening. When we take time to really listen to someone, to hear their story, to understand their struggles and their fears, we build trust, we build a rapport, and we build a connection. We're no longer just two individuals, we're two people who connected on a deeper level. And that's where the magic happens. Another key strategy is vulnerability. Now, I know there are some fellas that are taking advantage of vulnerability and trying to get their first night stand. But when we're willing to be vulnerable, to share our fears, our doubts, and our insecurities, we open ourselves up to the possibility of deeper connections. We're no longer hindered or hiding, where we're not shrouding ourselves with a mask of perfection. We're no longer afraid to test those risks. We're no longer in a situation where we are afraid to be ourselves. And that's where the real connections are made. One of the final things that we got to think about is it's about quality over quantity. And I know that in our younger days, in our early 20s, 18, 15, 22, it was all about trying to get laid today. And it wasn't even about getting laid about the same chick we got laid with last week. We had a mentality of quantity over quality. So before we found a high value woman that we could stick with, a lot of us in our younger days found a low value women that we could have a short term engagement with. Why? Because there are more lower quality women than there are higher quality women. And those of us that do not have the mentality, the mental state, the drive to value that higher value woman, take what you can get with the low value. But the more you mature, the more that you age, you come to find out that it's not about having thousands of acquaintances. It's about having a handful of people who you can truly recognize that they get you, who can truly care about you. It's about having people in your life who will show up for you, who will support you, and who will be there for you through thick and thin, even if you are the type of person who will be there for them when times get tough. You need people who have the mentality and capabilities wants to reciprocate. I remember when I first started my business and I was so focused on building my brand, on creating a perfect online image and getting more followers. But as I look around, I realized that I was surrounded by people who did not truly care about me. And I had thousands of followers, but I was still feeling that error of loneliness. I was still feeling isolated and I was still feeling unfulfilled. And that's when I realized that I needed to shift my focus. I need to focus on building real relationships, on being vulnerable and being present. And that's when everything changed. So I started to show up for people as if I wasn't already showing up for people in the past. But now I'm really showing up for people. And I started to listen. I started to be vulnerable and I started to take risks. And slowly but surely, I started to build connections that were really what the other person needed. And that's where things started becoming more meaningful. And that brought me joy and fulfillment. So I started to build relationships that stood the test of time, relationships that were built on trust, on vulnerability, on sacrifice, and on a depth that is deeper than a sense of connection that we are used to. I want to take the time to tell you that if you're building an authentic relationship, you want to understand that one thing is key. You have to unlock your personal self, recognize your professional success. And in today's world, you want to remember that it is about being intentional, being present, and being willing to take risks and be vulnerable. It's about focusing on quality over quantity. It's about building connection that are real. It's about the meaningful engagements and memories that you build that bring you joy and fulfillment. In an increasingly digital world, cultivating authentic relationships require intentionality, empathy, and commitment to open communications. By prioritizing your presence, fostering intergeneralization, connection, and practicing gratitude, you can create a meaningful relationship that enriches your life in 2025 and beyond. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your experiences are with building a relationship. What's your strategies on how you've worked on these relationships? What worked for you guys? What's the challenges you've had? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out a lot of the videos that we have about the growth and development. And one of the things that I want to make sure that you guys make note of, because I want to give a special shout out to Red Void and Omni81, Liberty Twitcher, and Mr. Pibbs from the Twitch platform, is that when we build success, when we build love and admiration, we're building something that is supposed to be a forever situation. More often than not, we put so much effort into our here and now. We put so much effort into our today when our today is long since gone. Today is in the past as we speak, and we're not putting any effort into our future. And the fact is that if we put a lot more effort into being successful in the future, if we put a lot more effort to being successful in our relationships, in our future relationships, we would have less failed relationships. If you think about from the time that you start your first date till the time that you have your last breath, you're investing so much resources into your female. But you chose a female that is not putting any effort into you. That doesn't mean that all of the women that you come across are not going to invest in a man. It just means that your choice is the problem. So one of the things that you got to do as a man is that if you're choosing the wrong partner, you got to make a big change. You have to navigate yourself away from the negative desire and manifest yourself in a position where you will find yourself with those people who will improve your position, because good men are always going to improve the position of the women that they're dating. To this day, I have not talked to a man that is not willing to invest in his girlfriend, her wants, needs, desires, ambitions, and drives. But to this day, I have not found a man that will have his woman invest in him. It's hard out here, but she is not investing in him. He'll invest in her. So we got to really think about this. If we're talking to a female that's working on her own personal desires, we got to make a change. If we're talking about a female that's working on building herself up, but she's not building up her relationship, we got to make a change. I'm not just going to say straightforward, put yourself forward. But what I am going to say is that you need to put more effort into yourself so that you have enough resources to invest in someone else. And when you invest in someone else, your resources need to have a dividend return, because if it doesn't, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your effort. You should not put money into the success of somebody else by sacrificing yourself, especially when there's no return possible. That's one of the things that I just spent like 6 hours before the podcast talking about. Like, we cannot put our time and effort into failure. We have to put our time and effort into the success of the relationship. We have to put it into the success of our businesses. We have to have a partner that's willing to aid us in the success of our business, because you can't do it alone. But why are you paying a third party that you don't know to do the things that your partner can do to help your household be successful? These are the things that we have to make adjustments with. So I understand that today was going to be a short podcast. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. We have a bigger show for tomorrow. And likewise, I got to wrap things up because I got a podcast. I got a client coming up in about an hour, and I got to get things prepared for that client. So today, I really appreciate you guys coming to the podcast, because I thought that this was going to be a good topic for us to talk about. I want you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe and join the membership, because I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. We are live at 10 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock Central time, really. 10 o'clock Central time. Remember that. 2,200 hours Central time, which is like 4 a.m. Green Minutes time, 4 a.m. United Standard Time. So if you're not in the United States, it's probably at 4 a.m. But make sure that you take a look at us, because we're going to do it. We're going to make it do what we do here. As I wrap things up on the short end, I want to make sure that I tell you, ladies, that as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So please, ladies, make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate you guys coming to tonight's podcast, even though I kept everything a little bit short, because we were talking about really developing an authentic relationship. And we're going to carry this on to tomorrow's show, because building an authentic relationship is a multi-step process, and I want you guys to really understand what's going on. But today's podcast, I've dug deep into a lot of things, and I want you guys to go back and double back and look at some of the things that I talked about. But I want you guys to also make sure that you check on tomorrow's show, because we're going to really exacerbate today's topic into tomorrow's show. So just remember at 10 o'clock Eastern time that you're here tomorrow, so that you can dive deeper into everything that we're talking about with today's show. Make sure that you like and subscribe as you come along. Make sure that you share this podcast with the people that you know, because we got a lot of things that's coming up for the next week. Actually, I talked to a buddy of mine that's actually got that. I'm talking to him into start up a record label, because he's doing the same thing that a record label is doing. So I'm like, hey, bro, build your record label, because you can get paid small quantities of dividends from each individual person. 10,000 people, you're making a shit ton of money, even if it's 5%. Because 5% of 10,000 people's income is a lot of money. So I just want you guys to understand that there's different ways that we can go about being successful. But we can make ourselves more successful, more efficiently, if we're less selfish. So turn of the tape, ladies. if you invest in the man will have more capital to invest in you, because if you have a good man, he's going to invest in you by default. So the more money you want to put in your pocket, the more you want to invest in your man. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you for tonight. I want to make sure that you like and subscribe and join the membership. And fellas, I appreciate you guys for coming to the show. I hope you guys stay tuned for the after show outro video. And thank you for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I will see you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Central Time.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.